Have you seen The Guyver?
They are here, among us, now.
How to describe this movie? It's like if Power Rangers had a baby with every fever dream you've ever had. So, what's the story about? Well, it's about a guy that finds an alien suit of armor and battles foes created by Rita Repulsa, while giving you the worst performance acting, writing, and, well, story-wise as well, and all for the tiny cost of $3 million, which may not seem like a lot, but a lot of great movies can and could be made with $3 million, especially in 1991. Now, I've never read the manga or seen the anime. In fact, I found out about both while watching this movie. But this movie, if I was going to give it an actual review, it would be a solid 2 or 3 out of 10, if not a touch less. But I enjoyed this movie so much. For me, it's so bad that it was good. So, what is bad about this movie? Everything. Outside of maybe the costume, special effects, and some of the action sequences. But a special mention must be given to the actual jokes they inserted in the movie. They weren't funny at all, except for one where our heroes jump over a wall and there's a cameraman that helps them down off some trash cans. I honestly laughed at that, because I was thinking it must have been a mistake. They accidentally recorded some of the behind the scenes. Then the scene played out, and apparently the cameraman was with a group of people who are filming a monster movie.
Hey, yo!
Shut!
Yo, where the hell am I?
Hey, that is not your cue. You stepped on my scream!
So what is good about this movie? Especially if everything is also bad. Well, everything. The horrible acting, especially by Vivian Wu, who can't act but somehow has a lengthy film career, just not in anything I've seen, is hysterically bad.
I need your help. You saw it work. Tell me, how did your friend activate it?
No, I don't know. I have no idea what he did.
Jack Armstrong, the lead actor in this movie, also seems like he can act maybe a touch better. Not a lot. But I think this movie guaranteed his position as nothing more than a background actor or a guest starring on daytime soap operas.
Hi, Sean. I didn't realize I was interrupting anything barging in like this.
Oh, no, actually, I was just leaving.
I'll just be a minute. Stay.
No, really, I'm out the door.
But the horrible acting is so wonderful that it makes you laugh, because the best actor in the whole movie is Mark Hamill, who they also put on the cover of the movie poster, even though he's not the Guyver. And if you're wondering, no, Mark Hamill is not a great actor. He's just given a terrific performance for certain roles. But most of his work is,
Chasing Ninja Turtles, huh? Hey, I'm telling you, I saw them. And I'm telling you, you're going after the wrong people.
You're telling me they got friends in high places?
I'm telling you, you got a bad attitude. And this is no longer the part of your business.
I'm on my own time, all right?
But everyone seems cartoonish or wooden, like a Saturday morning TV show. Like you're watching the Power Rangers. Now, that doesn't mean everyone is horrible, because a special note must be given to the people who hammed up their performance. David Gale, who plays the big bad, has a scene where he runs his hand over Vivian Wu's body while she's unconscious, I might add, and then proceeds to lick his lips. This guy went from, I don't know who you are, can I get a little bit more information, to whoa, that's the creepiest uncle in a heartbeat. I just assumed he must have desperately needed some cash, because that's the kind of role that you don't come back from. Like, I'm assuming many of these people who in this movie must have desperately needed a check. In fact, I looked up Mark Hamill just to see if maybe he was going through a divorce. Nope, been happily married for decades now, which just leads me to wondering why anyone did this movie. Another special actor of note is Michael Berryman. It was nice to see him play a bad guy that doesn't live in some caves with his incest cannibal families that prey on people in the deserts of Utah. I hope you get the reference without looking up the answer. But he hammed up his time on the screen, which I appreciated because he was maybe the fourth most screen time and gave a wonderfully campy portrayal.
How did that get in there?
And finally, Jeffrey Combs, who gives a stellar performance as creepy doctor guy who just 5 years later will play creepy FBI agent in The Frighteners. But one of the reasons for the horrible acting is because of the horrible script. And yes, it's horrible. The script seems like it was either written by an alien who has the most basic understanding of humans, or by a foreigner who has the most basic understanding of English. All the dialogue in this movie just makes you cock your head and say, "That's an interesting way to say that sentence. You want to run it through Google Translate first?" But the writer, Jon Purdy, in his whole entire career, he's only written 3 films, The Guyver being his most acclaimed. The other 2 being Reflections on a Crime and Star Portal. Star Portal has such a low Rotten Tomatoes score that I might just have to watch it in order to experience more of this guy's writing. He also directed the other 2 movies as well, and I just bet they're amazing.
Alien ship hurtles toward Earth, crashing into one woman's life, changing her forever. On a mission to save her planet.
I overtook her body, but yet now I believe that she possesses me. I come from a planet we call Corda. It orbits a distant star, and my entire planet is suffering from a plague in our blood.
Oh, the movie also has a creature that looks like a Power Rangers gremlin that's played by Jimmie Walker, or JJ from Good Times, if you're that old, who spends basically the whole movie rapping, but it's a rap that your youth pastor or your grandparents would have written in order to relate to you. You know, if you ignore all the blood and violence in some of the raps.
Looking high, been looking low for the guiding, jiving thing to show. And now this punk's become a hunk, when all along he's had the song. Well, let me just tell you one thing. I'm gonna boot that thing with the Guyver name. I'm going to make you crawl and gonna make you sing, cause I want that guiding, jiving thing.
Or how about how Hammill and Berryman's awkward standoff soon after discovering JJ's kidnapped victim and releasing her, and you're left wondering why Hammill just didn't shoot the bad guys, since they just got done murdering a lady and kidnapping the daughter of a victim that he's investigating. It has such funny writing like that. Also, they made Hammill a CIA agent, and I kept wondering why he wasn't just written as a FBI or LAPD. That would allow them to build out Hamill's relationship with the other 2 lead actors, but this isn't the type of movie that you flex your brain that hard. And every time the movie wants to transition to another scene, they play this sound effect and have a transition that cuts the screen in half. But I think they got rid of it during the 3rd act, which was a little disappointing.
I get it.
And the sets for this movie, they filmed some outdoor scenes, which look fine. It's just, a trashy street in LA. But the sets they actually build for the movie, you can tell you're looking at a soundstage that was cheaply put together with big fake windows and a fake background that are reminiscent of something that you would have seen in a live-action Disney TV show. Nothing has texture. It's just big slabs of cardboard and wood painted the same drab gray everywhere. The final thing that's great about this movie, which all those things you may be thinking, oh, those all sounded horrible, they actually make the movie very funny and enjoyable. The final thing, though, that's great about this movie, which is actually great, is the costumes, the special effects, and the fighting. The fighting is the weakest out of those three, but if you tell yourself that you're watching like a live action TMNT or Power Rangers, the fighting is good, up to par, if not, like a touch better. The greatest aspect of this movie is where our one-time only director excelled at. The director Screaming Mad George, a Japanese special effects artist, who when this movie was looking for a director, just got done helping make Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4 special effects. The studio, Bandai, yes that Bandai, and Hero Communications asked Screaming George if he would help on this movie. And his response was if and only if they allowed him to direct. And you know what? They said sure, because this guy has worked on several movies. Surely he knows how people are supposed to act. Not like a block of wood or a robot. Well, he proved that many people can work in the film industry, but not everyone can be a director. The few things that Mad George did, which was actually good, was he zoomed in on people's clothing ripping apart while they transformed into the Zoanoids, which he only did a few times.
Let me have them. You fool, Sagawa. Think you could get away with it?
These inhuman experiments must stop!
Also, before I forget, the narrator at the beginning of the movie, because not only does this movie have a minute-long text scroll, the opening text spends like a whole minute telling you what a Zoanoid and a Zoalord are, but the movie only says those words like 2 times, the narrator and the big bad guy at the end of the movie. That's it. Just very odd. But back to the special effects. The special effects in this movie, where they show our hero turn into the Guyver, which just makes me want to say MacGyver as I wait for Richard Dean Anderson to burst onto the scene. It is truly amazing. The cords wrapping around his body, or the transformation in the warehouse where the Guyver explodes from the back of our hero's neck before connecting to each part of his body. What this movie did great, they did great. But that's because of what Mad George is good at. He is a special effects artist. While Steve Wang, technically the co-director, but just for the action scenes, did a great job with costume design because he's a costume designer. And a little more information about Wang is he would also go on to do a sequel to this movie 3 years later and receive much higher praise. But that movie was also given the clearance to make it into an R movie. While this one, Screaming George blamed the lack of budget on not going for an R rating. Because filling it with blood and guts would have really helped sell those hammy lines. Since he also said that the studio took out a number of jokes that he inserted in the movie. So this movie could have been a lot more crappy, campy. Take your pick. Now, before I sign off, the costume design is great, but you can obviously tell that they've ripped off other movies. I may not be able to pinpoint each of the movies they ripped off, but I know JJ from Good Times is an enlarged gremlin. The big bad at the end of the movie is one of the hounds from Ghostbusters. And the female Zoanoid just reminds me of something that I can't put my finger on, but I know I've seen it before. But I find this movie very hard to recommend or even review. Everything I like about this movie may be what drives you up the wall. And the movie is terrible, but its terribleness is what made me laugh and find such enjoyment. So if you have 90 minutes to kill and you're really interested in watching a Jim Henson live action failure, this movie is streaming on Amazon Prime, but try not to watch it and get mad at me. Like I said, it's so bad, it's good. But outside of that, you guys have a good one. Bye.